My name is John, and I live in a serene coastal town. This place is a slice of paradise where the waves gently kiss the shore and the sunsets paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. I've been a schoolteacher here for years. There's something profoundly fulfilling about educating young minds while being surrounded by the tranquility of our beautiful beaches. The sea has a way of calming my soul, offering a sense of peace that is hard to find elsewhere. My wife Claire and I have been married for 10 years. She's 35 and I'm 40. Our life together has always been quiet and predictable, just the way we liked it. We share a charming house with a garden that Claire loves to tend. She has a green thumb and our little garden is always in bloom, a riot of colors and scents that make our home feel like a sanctuary. Claire works as a graphic designer from home. She's incredibly talented and her work often leaves me in awe. Her creativity spills over into our home, which is filled with her artwork and beautifully designed spaces. Our friends often comment on how warm and inviting our home feels, a true reflection of Claire's artistic touch. Our life might seem idyllic to an outsider. We spend our weekends taking long walks on the beach, hosting barbecues with friends, or simply enjoying each other's company in the comfort of our home. We have our routines and traditions, little rituals that have become the fabric of our life together. Sunday morning pancakes, Friday night movie marathons, and our annual anniversary trips to different coastal towns. Despite the tranquility of our surroundings, there has been a growing unease in my heart. Claire and I have always been close, our relationship built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. But lately, it feels like there's an invisible barrier between us. It's hard to pinpoint exactly when things started to change, but the distance between us is undeniable. The laughter that once filled our home has been replaced by a heavy silence, and I can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. Over the past few months, the distance between Claire and me has become more pronounced. She has developed a new passion for fitness and joined a local fitness club. At first, I was happy for her. It seemed like a healthy outlet and a good way for her to meet new people. But as time went on, her involvement with the club started to take up more and more of her time. Claire now spends most of her evenings at the fitness club. She often comes home late, well past dinner time. When she does return, she smells of alcohol and offers vague excuses about club gatherings and post-workout drinks with friends. I try to be understanding, but the changes in her behavior are hard to ignore. She's always been honest and straightforward with me. But now, there's a sense of secrecy that hangs over her like a dark cloud. Our conversations have dwindled to almost nothing. The intimacy we once shared has been replaced by an uncomfortable silence. I find myself staying up late, waiting for her to come home, hoping for a chance to talk and reconnect. But when she does walk through the door, she's either too tired or too distracted to engage in any meaningful conversation. The warmth that once characterized our relationship has been replaced by a chilling distance. I begin to notice other small changes too. Claire's appearance has become more polished. She spends extra time getting ready before heading out, wearing outfits that are more stylish and flattering than her usual casual attire. She even started wearing perfume again, a fragrance I haven't smelled on her in years. These changes might seem insignificant, but together, they paint a troubling picture. One evening, as Claire was leaving for the fitness club, I caught a glimpse of her phone. A message notification popped up from a contact saved simply as J. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight." My heart sank. Who was this person, and why was Claire so eager to meet them? I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as suspicion gnawed at my mind. I tried to confront Claire about my concerns, but she brushed me off, insisting that I was overthinking things. Her dismissive attitude only fueled my suspicions. Determined to uncover the truth, I started paying closer attention to her behavior. Each late night and every vague excuse added to the growing unease in my heart. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to look through her social media. Scrolling through her posts and photos, I noticed that she rarely mentioned the fitness club or her new friends. It was almost as if she was deliberately hiding that part of her life from me. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Claire, the woman I've loved and trusted for 10 years, was keeping secrets from me. The thought was unbearable, and I knew I had to find out what was really going on. One evening, I mustered the courage to confront Claire about her late nights and the unsettling changes I had noticed. She had just walked in, smelling of alcohol, and looking more disheveled than usual. I asked her directly why she was coming home so late and who she was spending her time with. Instead of offering a reasonable explanation, She dismissed my concerns with a wave of her hand. "John, you're being paranoid," she said, her voice tinged with irritation. "It's just the fitness club. We sometimes go out for drinks afterward. It's nothing to worry about." But her casual dismissal only made my suspicions grow. Claire had never been one to drink excessively or stay out late without letting me know. Something was definitely off, and her vague explanations did little to reassure me. The trust that had once been the bedrock of our relationship felt like it was crumbling beneath my feet. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to take matters into my own hands. The following day, while Claire was out, I installed a GPS tracker in her car. It was a drastic step, but I felt I had no other choice. If Claire was hiding something from me, I needed to know what it was. The tracker would give me a clear picture of her movements, allowing me to see where she was going and how long she was spending at each location. For the next few days, I monitored the GPS tracker obsessively. Each time Claire left the house, I checked her location on my phone. Most of the time, she followed her usual routine, going to the fitness club and then coming straight home. But one evening, the tracker showed her heading to a part of town she had no reason to be in. My heart raced as I watched the little dot on the map stop at a seedy bar on the outskirts of town. I decided to follow her. The bar was not the kind of place Claire would normally go. It was run down with dim lighting and a rough crowd. I parked a few blocks away and approached the building cautiously. Peering through the window, I saw Claire sitting at a table with a man I didn't recognize. They were laughing and talking, their heads close together. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal. This was more than just a casual drink with friends. As I watched them, my mind raced with possibilities. Who was this man? How long had they been seeing each other? The pain of not knowing the full extent of their relationship was almost unbearable. I took out my phone and began snapping photos of them through the window. Claire's hand rested on the man's arm, and he leaned in closer, his face inches from hers. It was clear that their relationship was more than just friendly. They finished their drinks and stood up to leave. I followed them out of the bar, staying far enough behind to avoid being seen. They walked down a dimly lit alley, their bodies close. I could see the intimacy in their movements, the way they leaned into each other. I snapped more photos, each click of the camera shutter a painful confirmation of my worst fears. In that moment, I knew I had gathered enough evidence. My suspicions were no longer just a paranoid fantasy. Claire was having an affair, and I had the proof. My heart ached with the weight of betrayal, but I knew I had to confront her and bring the truth to light. The time for denial and doubt was over. It was time to face the painful reality of our fractured marriage. The next evening, I watched Claire's GPS tracker anxiously. She left the house around the same time as usual, and I noted her destination on my phone. Once again, she headed toward the seedy bar on the outskirts of town. My heart pounded with a mix of dread and determination as I grabbed my car keys and followed her. When I arrived, I parked a few blocks away and approached the bar on foot. I peered through the grimy windows and saw Claire sitting at the same table as before, laughing and flirting with the same man. They looked comfortable together, like this was a routine for them. My chest tightened with anger and hurt, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed to gather more evidence. As they finished their drinks and stood to leave, I followed them out of the bar. They walked down the same dimly lit alley, their bodies close, the man's arm wrapped around Claire's waist. My heart felt like it was being torn apart with each step they took. I knew I couldn't confront them just yet. I needed to see more to ensure I had undeniable proof. They reached the end of the alley where a small, shabby motel stood. My stomach churned as they entered the building together, disappearing into one of the rooms. I felt sick to my core, but I knew I had to document everything. I took several photos of them entering the motel and noted the room number. Once they were inside, I found a spot across the street where I could see the door to their room. I waited for what felt like an eternity, the cold night air biting through my jacket. Finally, after what seemed like hours, they emerged from the room, looking disheveled and satisfied. I snapped more photos, capturing their intimate behavior. As they walked back toward the bar, I took a deep breath and decided it was time to confront them. I crossed the street and followed them into the alley. My footsteps echoed off the walls, and my heart pounded with a mix of rage and fear. When I was close enough, I called out Claire's name. They both turned, shock and confusion written on their faces. Claire's eyes widened in horror as she recognized me. "John, what are you doing here?" she stammered, her voice shaky. "I could ask you the same thing, Claire," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "Who is this?" I demanded, pointing at the man standing next to her. The man stepped forward, trying to look defiant. "Who I am doesn't matter," he said. "You need to leave." Ignoring him, I turned to Claire. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice breaking. Claire looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "John, it's not what you think," she said weakly. "Don't lie to me, Claire!" I shouted, my anger boiling over. "I've seen the photos. I have proof of everything. How long?" Claire finally looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "A few months," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. The man's face twisted with anger, and he stepped closer to me. "You need to leave," he repeated, his tone more threatening. I turned to him, my fury barely contained. "You stay out of this," I warned. "This is between me and my wife." But he didn't back down. He pushed me and I stumbled backward. Rage surged through me, and I lunged at him, throwing a punch that landed squarely on his jaw. He retaliated, and soon we were locked in a brutal fight, fists flying and bodies colliding. Claire screamed, trying to break us up, but I was blinded by fury. The fight escalated, and I felt a sharp pain as the man landed a blow to my ribs. I retaliated with all the strength I had left, determined to make him pay for the pain he had caused me. The noise of our struggle attracted the attention of the bar security, who rushed over and pulled us apart, restraining us and calling the police. As I stood there, panting and bruised, I clutched my phone tightly, knowing I had the photos and videos to prove Claire's betrayal. The reality of what had just happened began to sink in, and I realized my life would never be the same again. The police arrived quickly, their flashing lights casting eerie shadows on the alley walls. They separated us, questioning each of us in turn. My anger still simmered just below the surface, but I tried to stay calm, explaining the situation as best I could. Claire stood off to the side, her face pale and tear-streaked. The man, still defiant, glared at me but kept his distance. After taking our statements and assessing the situation, the police decided to let us go with a warning, but not before advising Claire and me to go home and cool off. The officers looked at me with a mix of pity and concern, recognizing the pain of a man whose life had just been turned upside down. Claire and I drove home in silence, the tension between us thick and suffocating. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, each one more painful than the last. When we finally arrived at our house, I parked the car and turned to face Claire. "Why, Claire?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why did you do this to us?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with regret and sorrow. "John, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I was lonely and confused. "Lonely?" I echoed, incredulous. "We've been married for 10 years, Claire. We were supposed to be a team." Tears streamed down her face as she tried to explain. "I know, John, but somewhere along the way I felt like we were drifting apart. I didn't know how to fix it. And then I met him, and he made me feel alive again." Her words cut deep, but I needed to know more. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice trembling. She hesitated before answering. "About 6 months," she admitted. "It started as just a friendship, but it quickly became more." The weight of her confession settled heavily on my shoulders. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal and hurt. "And you didn't think to talk to me about how you were feeling?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "You didn't think we could work through this together?" She shook her head, sobbing. "I was afraid, John. Afraid that you wouldn't understand. Afraid that it was too late to fix things." I stood up, unable to sit still any longer. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you for this, Claire," I said, my voice cold. "You've shattered my trust in our marriage. I need some time to think." With that, I walked out of the house, needing to escape the suffocating atmosphere. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. When I finally returned home, exhausted and emotionally drained, I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I gathered all the photos and videos I had taken, along with the GPS data, and went to see a lawyer. The betrayal was too deep, the trust too shattered. I couldn't see a way to salvage our marriage. I filed for divorce, determined to protect myself and start the painful process of moving on. The following days were a blur of legal proceedings and emotional confrontations. I exposed Claire's affair to our friends and family, causing a scandal that rocked our small town. People were shocked, sympathetic, and some even angry on my behalf. The support from those around me was a small comfort, but it did little to ease the pain in my heart. In the divorce settlement, I fought aggressively to keep our house and secure a fair share of our assets. Claire, knowing she was in the wrong, didn't put up much of a fight. She was left with minimal support, a consequence of her betrayal. The life we had built together was now in ruins, but I was determined to reclaim what I could and start anew. In the aftermath of the confrontation and the divorce proceedings, I found myself grappling with a mixture of emotions. Anger, sadness, betrayal, and a deep sense of loss weighed heavily on me. I took a leave of absence from my job as a schoolteacher, needing time to process everything and figure out my next steps. I decided to focus on self-improvement and personal growth. I enrolled in night classes at the local community college, eager to learn new skills and distract myself from the pain. I chose courses in photography, something I had always been passionate about but had never had the time to pursue seriously. The classes provided a creative outlet and a sense of purpose during a tumultuous time. I also took up hobbies that I had long neglected. I started running again, finding solace in the rhythmic pounding of my feet against the pavement. The physical exertion helped clear my mind and provided a much-needed release for my pent-up emotions. I joined a local book club, rekindling my love for reading and connecting with new people who shared my interests. As the weeks turned into months, I began to rebuild my social circle. Friends who had distanced themselves during the scandal slowly came back into my life, offering their support and encouragement. I met new people through my classes and hobbies, gradually expanding my network and finding a sense of community once again. Claire, meanwhile, struggled with the fallout from the scandal. Her reputation in the town was tarnished, and she faced judgment and ostracism from many of our mutual friends. She tried to rebuild her life, but it was clear that she was having a difficult time. Despite everything, I couldn't bring myself to feel any satisfaction in her suffering. It was a tragic end to what had once been a loving relationship. Though the hurt lingered, I slowly began to open myself up to the possibility of new relationships. I started dating casually, meeting women through friends and social events. It was a tentative step, but it helped me realize that there was still hope for finding happiness and love again. Each date was a reminder that I was worthy of affection and that I had the capacity to love and be loved despite the pain of my past. Through this journey, I learned the importance of resilience and self-love. The betrayal had shattered my world, but it had also forced me to confront my own strengths and weaknesses. I discovered a well of inner strength that I hadn't known existed, and I learned to appreciate myself in ways I never had before. The road to healing was long and fraught with challenges, but as I looked to the future, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I was determined to build a fulfilling and meaningful life, one that was not defined by the betrayal I had endured, but by the strength and resilience I had found within myself. With each passing day, I grew more confident in my ability to navigate whatever came next, and I embraced the journey with an open heart and a hopeful spirit. In the weeks and months following the divorce, I focused intensely on rebuilding my life. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but I channeled my energy into positive pursuits. I threw myself into my night classes, immersing myself in the world of photography. Capturing the beauty around me through the lens of a camera became a form of therapy. The coastal town, with its stunning sunsets and tranquil beaches, provided endless inspiration. My renewed interest in photography opened up new social opportunities. I joined a local photography club, where I met people who shared my passion. We would go on photo walks, exploring different parts of the town, and capturing its essence through our lenses. These outings became a highlight of my week, a chance to connect with others and share in the joy of creativity. Running also became a significant part of my routine. I joined a running group that met early in the mornings. The camaraderie and support of the group pushed me to improve my fitness and helped clear my mind. The physical exertion and the rhythm of running provided a much-needed release from the emotional turmoil I had been experiencing. As I focused on these activities, I began to feel a shift in my perspective. The anger and sadness started to give way to a sense of empowerment. I was reclaiming my life, piece by piece. My social circle expanded, and I made new friends who had no connection to Claire or the painful memories of our past. It was liberating to form new relationships without the weight of betrayal hanging over me. I also made a concerted effort to reconnect with old friends and family. They had been a source of strength during the darkest times, and I wanted to show them my appreciation. We organized regular get-togethers, barbecues, and outings that brought a sense of normalcy and joy back into my life. Their unwavering support reminded me that I was not alone in this journey. During this time, I decided to take a bold step and travel. I had always wanted to visit new places, but had never found the time. I planned a trip to explore different coastal towns along the eastern seaboard. It was a chance to break free from my routine, experience new cultures, and find inspiration for my photography. The trip proved to be a turning point. The new experiences and the beauty I encountered along the way reignited my zest for life. Back home, I began to notice subtle changes in myself. I was more confident, more open to new experiences, and more willing to take risks. I had faced the worst and come out stronger on the other side. This newfound resilience was something I carried with me in every aspect of my life. Claire, meanwhile, struggled to rebuild her life. The scandal had taken a toll on her reputation, and she found it difficult to regain her footing. We communicated occasionally, mostly about the logistics of our divorce and the division of assets. It was clear that she was remorseful, but the damage had been done. I had made peace with the fact that our paths had diverged irreparably. One day, while attending a photography exhibition, I met a woman named Emily. She was an artist, and her work was on display at the gallery. We struck up a conversation, and I was immediately drawn to her warmth and genuine interest in life. We exchanged numbers and agreed to meet for coffee. Our coffee dates turned into long walks on the beach, deep conversations, and shared laughter. Emily was kind, empathetic, and incredibly supportive. She understood the pain I had gone through and respected my need to take things slow. Our relationship blossomed naturally, and I found myself looking forward to our time together more and more. Emily introduced me to new perspectives and experiences. She encouraged me to pursue my passions and supported my journey of self-discovery. With her by my side, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and joy. Our relationship was built on trust, mutual respect, and a deep understanding of each other's journeys. As the months went by, I realized that I was not just surviving, I was thriving. The betrayal that had once defined my life had become a distant memory, overshadowed by the love and happiness I had found with Emily. I learned that life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it, offering new opportunities for growth and happiness. Reflecting on my journey, I understood that the pain of betrayal had taught me invaluable lessons about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. I had emerged from the darkness stronger, more confident, and ready to embrace whatever the future held. With Emily by my side and a renewed sense of hope, I looked forward to the future with excitement and anticipation. Life had tested me, but I had passed the test. I had built a new life, one filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. The journey was far from over, but I was ready for whatever came next, and for the first time in a long time I felt truly at peace.